for those of you who have not been present for the last 6 weeks to hear me talking about sun tunnels, this is a very cost-effective alternative to what is a traditional glass skylight. Most people think of skylights as either a plastic dome or a glass box sitting up on top of the roof. And what I'm passing around, actually, you know what? Grab me one of those, please. Thank you. There are only 12 copies, so you guys might need to share. So sun tunnels cost hundreds of dollars instead of thousands of dollars to install as a retrofit, so we can very cost-effectively put them into an existing roof system. If the homeowner is wanting to bring some natural light into a bathroom, into a walk-in closet, so that they can actually see the colors of the clothing that they're selecting in the morning. I know if you're chuckling, Tony. Color is very important to you. And so basically, if you look at the first page, what we've got here, okay, on the bottom, this is actually what the sun tunnel looks like on the roof. Okay, so you've got the base flashing with the plastic dome that sits on top, and then above that, this is actually two different styles of the same thing. Basically, this is the dome sun tunnel, and then this is the flat glass sun tunnel. Okay, so for people who are looking for that low profile appearance, it has a larger footprint, but it doesn't come as high up off of the roof. But it's $235 more, and it only works if it's facing the south. If it has a southern exposure, because otherwise, if it's facing north, then the roof is going to block a lot of the sunlight, and it's not going to be very effective. So on the inside, okay, going back to the bottom picture, so we put the flashing on the roof, we have a reflective tube that comes down to the ceiling, and then this is actually what the homeowner sees on the inside, okay? This is the ceiling ring with the diffuser, okay, and so the light comes through this. You can see it's frosted glass, it's not very transparent. This is the 10-inch size, okay, and so this is going to be appropriate for a closet or a bathroom or a hallway or a small space, and this is the 14-inch size. And you can see that these things bring in a heck of a lot of light. When you do the math, this is approximately 50% larger than the 10-inch size, okay? So these are going to be good for larger rooms like a living room or a kitchen, you know, places like that, you know, we're installing 3 of these in a condominium in Norcross on an upcoming job right down the middle of the unit, because there are windows at the front, windows at the back, and no windows on the sides, and so it gets real dark right in the center. And so if you guys would go ahead and flip over to the next page, just for comparison's sake, I've got some pricing here. These are the actual prices that we charge for installing a sun tunnel while we're doing the roof. Okay, this is an important distinction to make, because if we do it as a retrofit, we have to pull out shingles, we've got to cut, you know, the hole, so it takes us longer, and so it costs more. So for a 10-inch sun tunnel that's this size, it's $390, okay? This kit comes with everything we need to install it with a 4-foot tunnel, okay? It comes with 4 feet of the reflective tube. If we need to add more tubing, then it's $50 per extension, and each extension is 24 inches. So if we've got to drop down, you know, 10 feet, then we've got another $150 worth of extensions that we have to buy. A 14-inch sun tunnel this size is $524 installed. Okay, that's the total labor, materials, everything, and these extensions are $68 a piece. And you'll notice I've put down here that it's only a 26% increase in the cost of the actual unit, and so you get 50% more light for 26% more cost. So it's very cost effective that way. And just for comparison's sake, the fixed skylight pricing for a 2222 or a 2x2 fixed curb mount, $1,350. Okay, now we don't do the interior finishing, but if I were to have my guys do that, this is approximately how much it would cost for us to frame the tunnel, the box coming down from the roof to the ceiling, sheetrock the inside of it, finish it, you know, paint it. $1,350. 2224, the 2x, I'm sorry, that should have been 46. My bad. 2246 would be about $1,500. So a little bit more for the extra time and materials. So I think everybody's got the concept of the sun tunnel down. Now we're going to move on to the skylights themselves, just general skylights. Okay, there are basically 2 types of skylights on the market. You've got the fixed skylight and you've got a curb mount skylight. Okay, what that means is on this page here, you'll notice this up here. This is what's called a fixed skylight. Okay, and the important determining factor is this flange around the bottom of the skylight. Basically, it comes as its own self-contained unit. We bolt it down to the roof, and we put the shingles and the flashing around it. Okay. And if, for some reason, the skylight fails at some point before the roof needs to be replaced, then this is the repair that has to be done. We have to tear out all the shingles around it, and we have to replace the shingles and the flashing in the skylight itself, which, what that means to the homeowner is, that roof ain't going to match. They're going to have a big ugly patch on their roof at 10, 12, sometimes as little as 5 years after the roof is replaced. And for that reason, I almost always, I'll say, recommend replacing the skylight when the roof is replaced, because generally we're putting a 30-year roof on, and skylights usually only last about 18 to 20 years before the internal components fail and water starts coming through. And so my solution to this problem here is the curb mount skylight, okay? And basically what that means is we are building the 2x4, 2x6 frame upon which the skylight sits. And so rather, as opposed to the fixed skylight that has a flange around it, this is just the upper glass portion, okay? And so what that allows us to do is, if at some point the skylight breaks, their kid throws a ball up from the inside and breaks the inside pane, which I have had happen before, all we have to do is come out, we take 4 screws out, we pull the glass off, we put the new glass on, you put 4 screws back, and you're done. Okay, the entire operation takes about 15 minutes. And this glass here, that portion only costs about $200, $250, something like that. So on the back end, for long term, you don't have a patch in the roof, you don't have an expensive repair, because replacing that skylight along with the shingles and everything around it triples the cost of, actually more than triples the cost of replacing it with a fixed curb mount. And so if the skylight is more than a few years old, just for long-term cost effectiveness, I generally recommend replacing it with a curb-mounted skylight, not a fixed skylight. And so if you know someone who's getting ready to replace their roof, if they do mention skylights, or if they have skylights, make sure that, first of all, they need to contact me. But, make sure that they know that they need to be going back with a curb mount, not a fixed skylight. Thank you, guys.